Sure that is working. That's pretty good. All right. Just running into the start time of the show. It is coming up to 9 a.m. Here in Southeast Australia, Australian Eastern Daylight Time. Beautiful day here today. It is mid-autumn, running into mid-autumn time of the year. Southern Hemisphere, that would be mid-spring, Northern Hemisphere, wherever you may be. It's a beautiful time of year, pretty much everywhere. So I'm really looking forward to this topic. Today it's episode 13 of the Mindset Reflexology Show. It is also April the 13th, Wednesday, April the 13th, and episode 13, surface discipline versus real discipline. This one's going to be interesting to dive into a little bit deeper. So we'll just run down to 9 o'clock and be ready to kick off. As always, I've got my run sheet in front of me with my notes. I always do that to make sure in these sort of 10, 15, maybe 20-minute episodes that I stay right on track and get out the content that I want to get out so that it's permanently recorded and stored on the YouTube channel for later viewing, backwards and forwards, checking bits of the recording that are useful to you. So it's really important for me that I get everything in there that I want to get. So that is why I generally follow a pretty scripted run sheet to make sure that that happens. And of course, if you're listening, please make yourself known. Say hello from wherever you are and ask questions if you like, and I'm more than happy to answer a couple of questions. So surface discipline versus real discipline. And what we want to discuss here today is the difference between surface discipline and real discipline. Surface discipline is that discipline that you have, when you make mistakes, when you say you know something, and when you say to yourself, you know what I can do is I can just make another rule. And once I get my rule set, then obviously I'm going to have it down. And every time I set those rules, I'm going to make myself a better and better trader. That's what we say to ourselves with that surface discipline based on continuing to add rules. But what happens is that you set those rules and all of a sudden, in the heat of the moment, under pressure, boom, there you are. You know what to do, but you're not doing it. And that's the whole point about surface discipline, is that it's good on the surface, but not so good under pressure. So let's talk about real discipline. Let's talk about the real discipline that allows you to maintain order of the self while under pressure. That's the key. Discipline is only discipline if you're able to maintain it under pressure. And the key is this: you'll always want to regress to old reactive behavior and old reactive patterns that allowed you to produce success earlier. Okay? That's what was going on during your formative period. That's when all of these reactive formations were going on and getting hardwired into you. And ultimately, what happens is in trading, you're exposed to uncertainty and vulnerability. And it's also in a very compressed time frame. That's the big change your evolved brain is not expecting and not ready for. And you don't really know another mind to bring into that moment, okay? So what you do is you're sitting there and you're trying to use these rules, these rational left brain rules, and you discover that under pressure, they basically fall apart. And the thing is, you have to go beyond the surface of pretending. You have to learn how to get real discipline. In real discipline, what you're doing is you're able to learn how to manage these reactive patterns when you're getting into uncertainty, when you're really feeling the ambiguity, the vulnerability, when you're really feeling that confusion. Being able to manage yourself in a way out of that confusion or fear or grandiosity doesn't show up. Okay, that's the real trick. So let's look how you do that. Okay, so first of all, you need to recognize that surface discipline is not going to work. Surface discipline is not going to work. Real discipline requires training. It requires work. And you have to understand that these are emotions that are in play, and you're not going to control emotions. That's one of the great mistakes a lot of traders, particularly alpha traders, make, is the belief that you can control emotions. You can either learn to work with them or you can resist them. But ultimately, when you learn to work with them, the key is you go, well, I know what I have to do is I have to retrain myself. I have to be able to see what I haven't seen before. I have to be able to turn towards my discomfort. That's what the big thing here is. Now, over the years, I've worked with some very big banks and spoken at various technical analyst associations and the like. And that's the big takeaway, right? That's the big takeaway that's come from that, is what they discovered is that the big deal is being able to turn towards the discomfort and the vulnerability of that discomfort and doing something right there. That's real discipline. Now, until you have real discipline, the surface stuff is just a bunch of rules that get blown out of the water. So how do you do that? Okay. The very first thing is, in any emotional intelligence approach, the very first thing is you have to understand that what's underlying this is the belief that you bring into the management of uncertainty. That's what's being revealed, right? So with heightened emotional intelligence, the first thing you have to understand that what is underlying this uncertainty and vulnerability is the beliefs you bring to the management of uncertainty. So on the surface, right, I'm going to control this thing simply by following some new rules. That's what we tell ourselves. But no, right, the right brain really doesn't care about that, okay? It's going to blow right past that. And what you're doing is you're turning towards triggering of your beliefs about managing the unknown and the vulnerability that it creates, because you've got a risk that you could lose. And to the emotional brain, that right brain, we used to call it the emotional brain, that loss means loss of life. However, in trading, it means psychological discomfort. That's a key phrase to take away. Psychological discomfort is something that our brain naturally wants to avoid. So you've got to make that distinction. And in doing that, you know, what these guys at these associations and other places that I've spoken is what these guys were doing at these big proprietary companies and associations is that they were learning, how do I go about this? How do I manage this discomfort? And I can also add to this, having worked with traders over 25 years, traded myself for 25 years, and been exposed to the inner machinations of some of these big trading firms and big traders who figure this out, is all of them have learnt to turn towards that discomfort and manage it. Hello, Lygia, my friend from Costa Rica. Great to see you. Thank you for popping in. I'll put your comment up on the screen. Good afternoon. Good morning, my time. Lygia, great to see you. Now, the very first thing is you have to anticipate that there is going to be discomfort, right? Don't be surprised by it. You're not going to pretend that you're going to have a couple of stupid rules that allow you to get beyond a need to control the mind that you're bringing into the unknown. That's the key insight here. And that's done by emotional regulation, where you are both breathing, using breathing techniques, and reducing the attention of the emotion that's triggering. Now, after you do that, you're producing mindfulness, and that allows you to step back out of thought and to recognize that you and your thoughts, you and your beliefs are not the same. Now, I talk about that concept a lot more elsewhere, but just for now, acknowledge that you and your thoughts, you and your beliefs are not the same. This is where mindfulness is so helpful. Now, you do have awareness outside of thought and belief. And as a matter of fact, actually, not only do you have thoughts and beliefs, actually they have you. This is one of the great learnings, is we are not rational beings that have emotions. We are emotional beings that rationalize them. So it's our beliefs that create our reality. They have you, friends. So your job is to observe the thought and beliefs that's getting in the way. Turn towards that discomfort, regulate it, and then to really look at it and say, how do I change my belief structure? How do I change my belief structure? Okay, now you do that by first shifting from your performance being a reflection of your being, of your character, okay? Net worth is not equal to self-worth. Say that again. Net worth is not equal to self-worth. You find this place where you know you have worth beyond your performance. When you do that, something magical happens. Something magical happens. And at that particular moment in time, performance is just performance. It's not a reflection of your character. And in your performance, what you learn is this, is that the one thing I can control in trading is not the outcome. What I can control in trading is the mind that I'm bringing into the performance of the trade of trading. The mind that I'm bringing to the performance of the unknown of uncertainty, into ambiguity, into the confusion of not knowing. This is why it's such a difficult profession, because we are exposing our brain to its worst nightmare. Constant confusion, unknown, uncertainty, and vulnerability. Those are the things that our brain evolved to avoid, and trading puts you fair and square in the crosshairs of uncertainty. Okay? Now, that's what you're doing, because ultimately, if left to your own devices, what is confusion going to generate? It's going to generate fear. Yet to the trained mind, to the emotionally intelligent mind, what you're going to do is you're going to automatically generate a sense of approach, a sense of curiosity. This is what professional, emotionally intelligent traders do, is they train themselves to approach uncertainty with a sense of curiosity rather than a sense of fear. You build a sense of focus, of resolve, where you have this real sense of calm authority about the management of uncertainty rather than a fear of what's going to happen. Okay, and this is trainable. So instead of going, oh my God, what's going to happen? Fearing the future, fearing what happened in the past. You are literally in the moment. That's what you can control. The mind that you're bringing into the moment, that is everything in trading. That's where the performance mind, and that's where the appropriate trading state of mind is. And as you do that, you realize that you have the skills within you to be able to build the mind for discipline, for courage, for self-soothing, and for impartiality. They are the traits that we all have within us that need to be extracted and brought to the surface and called upon under the pressure of trading. And when you do that, the mind is going to bring into the moment of performance, has that edge based on those characteristics. That's the trick, my friends. That's the mind that has the edge, right? You can build a system with an edge. You must build a mind with an edge that's able to execute the system with an edge over and over and over and over again in a calm way when exposed to the uncertainty and confusion of trading, where you have no control over the outcome. Okay? All right? That's the mind that has the edge, not the mind that you brought to trading. This is a big mindset shift, that the mind you bring to trading must be rebuilt. Okay? And this new mind that you developed, not by tricks and not by little surface patterns, but in the depth of the core of your being, what you're doing, you're managing literally what mind you're bringing into the moment of performance. You are controlling performance. You are not controlling outcome. This is real discipline, not surface discipline, which is little rules, little affirmations, little things that we do on the surface that make us feel good in them, when we are thinking about it, but they are next to useless under the compressed pressure and vulnerability and uncertainty of trading. This is the intentional, impartial state of mind that's needed for successful and sustained trading. Now, it doesn't come naturally to many traders, right? Unless you've won the genetic lottery. And look, and I have met thousands of traders, and there would be a handful at most that have these natural attributes and hit the ground running with them and just get it straight away. That is very, very rare, because that's almost abnormal, because it's normal to come to trading with the wrong mind, right? But what you have control over is what you do about it. You know, the good news is it can be designed and built. So, okay, what do we do? Okay, hopefully this episode is exposing you to the difference between surface discipline and real discipline that comes from within, from the core of your being. So I would encourage you to check out my other videos on YouTube, subscribe to the station so that you can be notified of new episodes. You can go in there anytime, scroll backwards and forwards through any of these episodes, start to repeat them over and over and over and over again until they become part of you. Okay, study them, think about where you are at and what is required, and then go from there. And as always, at any time, if you have any questions for me, you can hit me up during these recordings, DM me on LinkedIn, reach out any time. This is what I do. I love helping traders understand the mind that they need to build for trading success. So thank you for attending. It's great to see you. Have a wonderful trading day and a good day in general. I will see you all again next week.